Earlier today, outside the Trump transition office in Washington, D.C. Now, they're hard at work trying to fill key cabinet positions at the White House. Now, the media, some lawmakers have been critical of a few of the names being floated for key posts. And as I've been saying now for a couple of nights, President-elect Trump, you've got to ignore these people. They will never support you. They never did support you. And you should not try to appease the media or this Washington establishment. Joining us now, American Conservative Union Chairman Matt Schlapp and Fox News contributor Mercedes Schlapp. Mercedes, I actually heard your name floated as a potential RNC chair, and I wrote Matt and said, tell her no. Don't do it. Don't do it. Look, I would support you if you wanted to do it, but I'm like,
well, thank you,
Matt,
Sean.
tell her no.
Well, let me tell you, Reince Priebus did such a phenomenal job. Those are big shoes to fill, I have to say. So this transition, I think, is moving right along. I think everyone has to take a deep breath. Okay, as we know, when you look back at 2008, President Obama announced his first cabinet secretary pick on November 24th, which was Secretary of Treasurer Geithner. And then, Secretary of State, when that was announced? December 1st, which was Hillary Clinton. So I think this is a moment where the media really loves this narrative, Sean, about the campaign, the transitions in disarray. Remember, they used to think the campaign was in disarray. But Donald Trump, I think, has a very clear understanding and a tight control of the process, along with Vice President-elect Pence. And I do think that they need to take the necessary time to make these incredibly important decisions for his administration.
Yeah. Look, these are important positions. It used to be that presidents get the benefit of the doubt to bring in the team that they think are best able and capable of fulfilling the promises they made to the American people. You see what's happened with Steve Bannon. The liberal media's tried to slander him. It's all been lies, but that's what they do. They're now trying to do the same thing, Matt, to Rudy Giuliani. Is it effective?
Yes, it's effective. And to my friends in the Trump transition, they need to get on top of this with rapid response immediately. What happens in Washington is that there's a corrosive effect when the Democrats put you in their target. And I think for Steve, who's a very close friend of mine, someone I have the highest regard for, who these are lies, this is slander, this is a smear job. But unfortunately, in a democracy, over time it can work. And they've got to be ready to defend these people as they announce them. And it's one of the hard things in a transition. Look, Sean, what Trump has done, what President-elect Trump has done is the right thing. We have a pre-transition for the first time in history, which is really a waste of time and money. After he won this race, he got a hold of his transition. He put the vice president-elect in charge, which was exactly what George W. Bush did with Dick Cheney. No one's going to mess around with Mike Pence. Donald Trump is making these decisions. This transition is totally going in the right direction. He needs to just block out this chatter. But you've got to defend your people when they get picked, both for the White House staff and these cabinet secretaries.
Yeah, all right. Who would be key people you'd want Trump to look at, Mercedes?
Well, there's so much talent out there, especially amongst his own closest advisors. Obviously, between Rudy Giuliani, Ambassador John Bolton, Jeff Sessions, he has got a lot of the talent right there. So I think for the most part, it's going to be figuring out where they have the best talent and where they can fit those people. Obviously, I think the Attorney General job is incredibly important. We've always seen in history that job needs to be one where the president really can confide in that individual, because so many major decisions come out of the Department of Justice. You saw that relationship between John F. Kennedy and his brother. And I just think that is an incredibly important job to consider, especially conservatives will be looking very carefully who Donald Trump picks for Attorney General.
Mercy, we have some real CPAC all-stars, Sean, that I think would be great picks. Bob Beaupre, former congressman from Colorado who's on our board, would be a great Interior Secretary or EPA Minister. It's going to be a tough person that takes on those challenges. I think John Bolton, he's got to be put in this cabinet. We need a seasoned veteran who's a hard-charging, fearless advocate. KT McFarland is another person I think the administration should look closely at. We've got some real all-stars out there. It's time to get our very best talent, our very best conservatives, and let them go in there and knock the liberals' heads in.
All right, guys, good to see you both. And for those that don't know, these guys are married. And they took a lot of heat for supporting Donald Trump. By the way, are you now being invited back to the parties or no?
You know, my voicemail is full. It's so strange. I don't know how that happened.
And Sean, I told Kellyanne Conway I'm happy to raise her 4 kids and so she can go work at the White House. So I would have 9 kids in total.
I was going to say, five girls is enough, isn't it? That's a lot of girls.
I'll sacrifice so Kellyanne can get over to the White House. We need her there.
I agree. I think she'd be great there.